Have you ever been in a room and found it hard to speak up? Are you afraid to show up on social media because you feel you are not ready, you're not perfect, you're not polished enough? These are many of the issues or challenges that women living abroad face because we already come with this feeling that we don't belong, that we're new, that we are not polished, and then this affects how we show up and give, and also affects our confidence. So my name is Naina Kaputi. I'm the founder and CEO of The Expat Woman, and I have challenged myself to show up every week for the next 2 months on YouTube, show up live and talk about a topic that is near and dear to my heart, that I'm passionate about, but I also feel can is something that our expat woman community is interested in as well. Now, if you're joining me live, do introduce yourself in the chat so I know where you're calling in from, and let's get this discussion going. So, when I'm talking about being messy and showing up, as your authentic but not perfect self, that's me. And that's why I chose to do live streams, because when it comes to making something very complex, like for right now, my focus is on the Expat Woman YouTube channel and growing our videos. And I find that having to record a video and then edit it and then upload it is makes it really difficult. And so that is why I'm doing this live stream. Even right now, um, like I'm a little bit nervous about showing up. So I'm hoping people will introduce themselves in the chat so we can keep the stream going. So I see someone is watching right now, but I have some notes. So let me pull up those notes because it just helps me with sharing my thoughts. Hopefully, as I keep doing these live streams, I will get more comfortable with time, with just not having notes in front of me, maybe just having a few pointers. But right now, my goal is let's show up, let's share these topics. If I have to use crutches like notes to read some of the content, so be it. All right. So let me pull this up. So today, what I'm going to be talking about is why it's important to show up abroad, even if it's messy and imperfect. What's stopping us from showing up? How to show up in different cultures and countries with a global mindset, and tips to overcome perfectionism and show up, especially as an expat navigating life and visibility abroad. All right. So let's start with why it's important to show up abroad. Okay. So, again, as I said before, and I think I'm having some technical issues right now with this. Give me a second. If you're watching this, let me know if you can see me and hear me. Let me know in the chat. Okay, whoever's watching, maybe they are not able to. Yeah, this is, yeah. Okay, Marlena. Okay, awesome, Marlena. Wonderful. Thank you. Because it's felt like, and this is the problem with when you go live, because if you have tech issues, uh, you know, then everything falls on you, and you're not sure if it's going to work out or not. But thank you, Marlena, for sharing that you can hear me and see me. So let's talk about, why it's important to show up abroad. Because when we move from another country, we're often very nervous. Like right now, I can tell you I'm very nervous about doing this live. Usually I'm not, but today for some reason, maybe I'm not in the groove. I forgot to wear socks and shoes, so my feet are really cold. So that could be adding to me feeling a little bit nervous. And then, of course, when you're going live, you don't have people joining you live, so you're by yourself. You're not sure who's watching. I sent out so many emails about this, and looks like right now only Malena is joining me live, and that's okay. And that's what showing up is. You show up as your imperfect self, and then you are comfortable even if nobody really shows up, because in this case this live can be watched later. It can be watched, the replay can be watched. So maybe sometime somewhere someone will watch this and feel that they're not alone. They see me, who they is a founder and CEO of the Expat Woman. I think I'm showing my nervousness quite visibly on this YouTube channel, but yet I'm continuing it. I had some tech issues and still I continued it. So, Malena, why don't you share in the chat what what has been some of your fears with showing up, at maybe at an event or a meeting, or even showing up on social media. Has anything ever stopped you from showing up? Let me know in the chat. I also did a poll on LinkedIn on the Expat Woman page, and I asked people about what was stopping them from showing up. And let me share some of the results that people shared. Let me pull it up and see if I have. Yeah. So I did a poll and I said, what is holding you back from sharing your voice and putting yourself out there abroad? So 8% of the people who voted said accent or language barriers. 8% said fear of being judged. 17% said wanting to be perfect first. About 58%, which is really good, says I show up even if it's messy. So that was on LinkedIn. I just wanted to get a sense of people in the community and what they thought about showing up messy. And then on the Expat Woman Facebook group, everyone said they show up even if it's messy. So looks like the people who are even participating in the polls are people who are comfortable with showing up messy, and that's why they're even participating, because the Expat Woman LinkedIn page has almost 5,000 people following it, but as you can see, only a small percentage participated. And the Facebook group too has about almost 3,000 members, and only again, very few people participated. So sometimes we don't even want to, we might read content on social media, but even participating in something like a poll makes it really hard for us. So that's something to keep in mind. Uh, Yes, and Malina has a very good point. She said it's not her fear with showing up is not so much the language but the cultural differences, because she doesn't want to offend people. And that's a really good point, because sometimes, different cultures have different ways of they have cultural norms and how you connect with people, what you say, your body language, etc. So that's a really great point, Marlena, and I'm going to cover that as well in today's conversation. So for me, and some of you might have heard the story before, when I first moved to the US and I applied for a job. One of the first jobs I applied for, I didn't get hired because the person didn't like my accent. And that really affected my self confidence, because in India, I was considered very eloquent. I was considered, like very articulate, great command of English. I grew up speaking English in India. My friends all spoke English. I went to school that was only English. Everything was taught in English. My family only spoke English, and some of you must be wondering, but India has so many languages. Yeah, but the British, India was a British colony, and some people adopted English as a first language. So I have an accent, according to Americans. Obviously, I have an Indian accent, and I've been here almost 23 years in the US, and I still have the Indian accent, because I don't see the need to change. Maybe I've tried to slow down my speech a bit and sound more clearly and concise. Try to speak more clearly and concisely so people can hear me. But yeah, and I forgot. Yeah, so that really affected me when I heard this woman didn't want to hire me because of my accent. And ever since that, I've had to really push myself out of my comfort zone to show up and speak, because I always think, oh, I'm going to be judged because I have an accent. And I know some people assume if you don't sound American enough, or you don't have a Western accent, like maybe a British accent or an Australian accent, you're not smart enough or you're not educated enough. Now, these are preconceived notions, and we can let them affect us and how we show up, or we can kick those preconceived, that we can kick those feelings we have, that this is how people are going to view us. We can kick them to the curb, because that's really self-doubt, self-limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome. and we can continue showing up as our authentic selves. And maybe there will be people who won't hire us, maybe there'll be people who think we're not intelligent enough, not educated enough. It doesn't matter. If we can show up and share our voice and, have an impact and influence those who are our target audience, those people who want to learn from us, who want to be inspired, and also showing up for ourselves, for our kids, then half the battle is done. So just wanted to share a little bit of a backstory. Yeah. Yes. And Marlena was said speaking, slowing down when you speak. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I think in the US, because I think people speak a little slower, and some of us come from cultures where, we tend to speak faster. And then if people are not used to our accent, then it's like, they're not sure what we've said, and they ask us to repeat ourselves. But looks like in your case, Marlena, you are very confident about showing up. Your challenge is about cultural norms, and I think that's really important to keep in mind. Uh, all right. I'm just looking at my hair. See, that's another thing that stops us from showing up is like, is my hair good enough? Especially when it's on video. Am I having a bad hair day? My makeup, is the lighting good enough? Like I see all kinds of stuff on my face, you know but you just do it, right? Because those people who want to hear from you, those people who believe in you, will show up, and then everyone else may not attend or listen to what you have to say, but you are doing it also for yourself. And with YouTube lives, at some point someone is going to see your videos, or whatever you're doing. If you're writing a post on LinkedIn, or showing up on other social media platforms, or you've written blog posts, or you host webinars, if your content is out there in the universe, someone somewhere will see it. And even if you feel you're not polished enough, or you don't look good enough, someone is going to be someone who looks like you or talks like you, or maybe they don't look like or talk like you, but they are going through similar emotions that you are going through. They will you'll have an impact on them. So that's what you need to focus on. All right, so let's continue with the conversation. So yeah, why it's important to show up. Visibility creates opportunity. People, if you don't show up, how do people know who you are and what you have to share with them, right? How can you support them? So when you're not showing up, you're doing a disservice to yourself and to others who can benefit from you. And when you move to another country, people don't know who you are, right? So if you're not going to speak up, maybe it's at your kids school, and they're looking for volunteers for whatever activity or project, but you don't want to say anything. And this has happened to me too, because I have this thing about my accent and not wanting to look like that foreigner in the room. So very often I won't say anything. Or if it's an event or workshop where everyone else is a local, they all are Americans or American born, and I'm the only foreigner, again, I may not ask a question because I don't want to stand out. I don't want to be judged. That's all coming from fears of, imposter syndrome, self-limiting beliefs, self-doubt. I see plenty of people who are really comfortable, even though they moved here from other countries, have thick accents. English is not their first language, and I admire them. And that's where I'm trying to get. It's very easy for me to talk to expat women when we all here from different countries. It's so diverse. Everyone, everyone recognizes that we have moved here. Everyone supports everyone. Everyone encourages everyone. But it's harder when you're wherever you live in the world. I'm talking about from a US perspective, but maybe you live in France and you're having to speak in French and you don't have the French accent, or you're in Poland, or you're in Singapore, wherever you are in the world. If you didn't grow up there, you don't sound like the locals, it can stop you from speaking up. Maybe at a meeting, at a work meeting, it's you're the only non-local in the room, and again you are afraid to say anything. And I'm talking about with respect to actions, but I'm also talking with respect to not feeling like you're perfect, like you're polished. You feel you're not good enough, maybe because you don't have that local experience. maybe you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to get more clients, you're trying to get more sales, you're trying to promote your business, but you feel you don't deserve to be hired, you don't, or you don't know how to do it, or as Marlena said, you're not sure what the cultural norms are, will you sound like you're being too salesy. All these things are again because you're afraid because you're afraid, either because of imposter syndrome, or maybe because you feel you're not perfect and polished enough. And today my talk is all about showing up as your messy self, as your imperfect self, as your authentic self, right? So the first one is visibility builds opportunities. I grew the expat woman when I started really building my visibility. Initially, I wasn't talking about myself so much, but I was really promoting the expat woman. I use LinkedIn as my platform to reach potential sponsors, event venues, guest speakers, etc. And I had to build my visibility to do that because they had to know. So I had a LinkedIn profile that was complete and fairly polished. I was creating good content. I was holding very high quality events. So it all meant showing up. So I wasn't the face of the expat woman for many years, but I was still showing up in my own way. And initially it was messy. The events initially weren't that great, but another beautiful thing about showing up is you learn as you go, and you experiment and see what works and what doesn't. Even with these live streams, excuse me, even with these live streams, the first time I did it, I didn't know, like, how to even go live or directly on YouTube. I was like not sure how to do it. This is I believe, my third one where I'm going live. And now I'm getting more comfortable with using it. I still was very nervous today for some reason when I started. If go back and look, you'll see my face shows nerves, and I thought maybe it wasn't. Also, I thought that I was having technical issues, but then I continued. I wanted to stop it, to tell you the truth, and I haven't experienced this in a long time, where I just felt so nervous. I said I can't continue, but I persisted, and now I'm feeling really comfortable. So that's an example of, you want to give up, you want to throw in the towel, and experience that right now on this live. And it was it passed, that feeling passed. So that's the whole thing about showing up and being messy, etc. Okay, let's keep going because I'm tending to ramble, and that's why I like these live streams, because hopefully you can get away with rambling. People listening to it feel like I'm taking them on my journey of showing up right now on this YouTube live. Okay, so the first one is visibility creates opportunities. The second one is you inspire others by being brave. Maybe, today it's only Marlena, I think, who's shown up. In the past, I've had more people who show up. Maybe this topic is not as exciting for people about showing up abroad, even when it's messy and imperfect, or maybe people feel not comfortable enough to even discuss this topic. But I believe that when you see people, especially when you're living abroad, and you see other women, other expat women showing up, doing stuff, and then you think, like, if they can do it, I can. Or when they share their stories of breaking barriers, of breaking out of their comfort zone, it inspires you to do the same. So yeah, people who see you, or hear you, can say, maybe I can do that too. And that's why when I started the expat woman in 2013, and then I started hosting events regularly in San Francisco and then some other countries, I always had expat women on my panel. Almost like maybe 80% of the panel would be expat women, because they didn't start off like that. They too struggled when they came here, even if they had fantastic jobs in other countries, or they went to the best universities in the US. It's still a challenge, a struggle, finding your place in another country, right? And so I wanted them to be on my panels, to be speakers, because I wanted them to inspire the other women in the audience, who would then see them and said, if they can do it, I can do it too. And I'm hoping right now with my YouTube live stream, other people are inspired to do the same. Okay. And the third reason why you should show up abroad is it builds confidence through action. As I said, I'm doing these live streams every week for the next 2 months at least, because I want to get more confident. Today, my nerves got the better of me for a while in the beginning, but then I continued, but I've also got more confident with speaking solo. When I used to do lives before, so I've had the Expat Woman YouTube channel for many years, almost 7 years. 2 years ago, I started doing a weekly interview with an expat leader. It was called the Expat Woman Show. So I started getting more comfortable with having somebody else with me on a live. So I didn't have to speak. I just had to ask them questions. And but now in the last month, I said I need to start getting comfortable by going solo and talking about topics. And right now, I'm using notes to share my thoughts and my um, content, but it's giving me the confidence. It's validating that I can go live, and can go live messy, not perfect, not polished, but still share value and content. And then the final reason why you need to show up abroad is because I think it's selfish if you don't share your value, your expertise with your network. Not only are you doing a disservice to yourself, but you're doing a disservice to those who can benefit from you. As I said, right now, I only have one person watching the live stream, Malena, but that doesn't matter, because maybe there'll be people who'll find this channel sometime down the road. Maybe I've shared it. Okay, now I see two people. I've seen one more person joining us. Whoever you are, do introduce yourself in the chat. I was just talking about how sometimes we don't want to show up because we feel no one will show up, or we feel we are not perfect, we're not polished. But if we have value to share, if we have expertise to share, if we feel through our content we can inspire, educate, empower others, then we need to show up. If you look at these really polished videos on YouTube, sometimes they're so polished. They're so, and some of them are faceless, and some of them are they don't they they're just using AI. I don't think you can connect with those videos as much as if you see a human being, like a real person talking about their experiences, giving you tips, giving you advice. Do you agree? Let me know in the chat, because that's the way I feel. I prefer watching videos or listening to podcasts where the person sounds really authentic, genuine. They don't sound, super polished. Their videos don't look fake. So, the world has changed ever since the pandemic. There's more focus on authenticity, on being who you really are, and especially now with AI, the videos that do well, the content that does well are from genuine human beings. Those, because people want to connect with people, people buy from people, people connect with people. And maybe for a while AI videos might do well because they're fantastic. Maybe in some genres AI videos would do well. But in this case, where you want to share your personal experiences, where you want to connect with your audience, it's better if you show up as your authentic self. Like, I would love to have a beautiful background right now and just have a map, but and I was waiting to create this really great background. I'm trying to lose weight. I try, my hair, like makeup, and like, oh, I want to look perfect, but that'll take forever. I may never lose weight. I'm not going to get any younger. So I'm just going to do it. And if people, as I said before, I'm doing a disservice to myself if I'm not sharing my experiences, expertise with the world, and I'm doing a disservice to others who could benefit from what I have to share. So that's the fourth reason why you need to show up abroad. So what's stopping people from showing up? Okay, so we all have fears, we all have barriers, and if you move to another country, you're already navigating so many other things: housing, if you have kids, you have to find schools or daycare for your kids, banks. You might need to get a license to drive or take public transport, trying to make friends. There's so much. And then on top of that, and finding a job, promoting your business. On top of that, if you've got to also start showing up, and you feel you're not ready because you're doing all these other things, you feel again messy, you feel not polished enough, not ready enough. That's the reason why it's stopping you from showing up. Also, you feel so burnt out, you feel exhausted. Then of course there's a fear of judgment due to your accent, your appearances. or your appearance, your cultural differences. Again, it's human nature. Many of us want to belong. We don't want to stand out. It's great to stand out in certain cases, but we don't want to stand out as that foreigner. We want to just blend in. I would say 80% maybe of people uh, are like that. I haven't done a survey, but I'm just assuming based on the 12 years, 11 or 12 years, I've forgotten, 12 years of running the Expat Women membership and meeting thousands of women through my in-person events and virtual events. We do want to feel like we belong. We do want to fit in, whether it's personally, professionally, in the workplace, in the community, and we don't want to be judged. And then we are not ready yet. We want to be in that invisible waiting room till that, just like when you're on Zoom, and then sometimes they put you in a waiting room, and then when the host is ready, they bring you into the main room. So it's the same thing with with us showing up. We want to be in that waiting room, and that could take years before we say, let's get out of the waiting room. If you're showing up on social media, it's again the same fears. Am I good enough to really share my expertise on social media? If it's videos, am I really good enough? Am I polished enough? What if I freeze? And again, if you're just joining me, I did face a little fear when I first came on today. If you go back, I think you'll see my face, like, and then I was like thinking that this it's not working. There's some problem with the YouTube with live streams. So these are all things we create in our head, and we have to get out of them. So and then we tend to compare. That's another huge reason why many of us are not showing up, is because we compare either to other locals or expats who have come before us. And I had come across this really good quote. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right, but don't compare yourself when you're just starting off. Don't compare yourself to somebody's middle. Somebody's done something for many years. They've got the confidence and the experience, and you are just starting off. So don't compare yourself. Compete with yourself. Don't compete with others. Learn from others for sure, but still, you are your own competition. You are the one who's holding yourself back. And sometimes it's also the reason we're not showing up is lack of support or representation in a new environment. As I said before, maybe we feel we're the only foreigner, the only expat, immigrant, whatever you call yourself, and we don't want to be that person, and there's no support for us. I know there's some companies where people who move there from other countries don't feel supported. Maybe you don't have a peer group, and that's why groups like the Expat Women membership, the Expat Women community. Malena belongs to the Polish Professional Women of Silicon Valley. It's good sometimes to belong to groups that are either very diverse or from your country of origin, because maybe you can support each other and grow. And that's what led me to create the Expat Women membership, because I have the large Expat Women community. There's over 50,000 women in our mailing list, social media, etc. But I've created a more intimate group for high performing, ambitious, purpose driven women, so we can all support and cheer each other on and help us get out of ourselves and create influence, impact. And with that comes, when you create influence and impact, you also create more income, because opportunities open up for you. And when you're showing up again, you don't have to be perfect, but opportunities will open up for you. You get more clients, you might get hired. And who doesn't want more income, right? There's nothing wrong with making more income. And for many of us, when we move abroad, we do struggle with that, unless of course we're married to someone really wealthy. But even then, we want to be independent, we want to be making money. Okay, so I wanted to also talk about because, and Malina brought up a good point about cultural norms, and in different countries how you show up is different. Now if you are an online digital have a digital or online company, or you work for a company that's remote, hybrid, and you have people all over the world, it might be easier. But sometimes you work in certain countries, or you live in certain countries where there's certain cultural norms. And again, I've only lived in India and the US, and I have only those two countries to compare. I've heard from my network who've lived in other countries, or who are from other countries, what the expectations are. But we have to keep those cultural norms in mind, because showing up doesn't look the same everywhere. Every country, every culture has different expectations around visibility, self promotion, and confidence. Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit, and I used our friend Chat GPT to get you know tips on what visibility looks like, showing up looks like in different countries. So it gave me just a few, and I'm sure if you use Chat GPT for the country you live in or the country you're from, it'll give you examples as well. So chat, I didn't mention the countries. I just asked Chat GPT, how do people become visible, show up in countries across the globe? So ChatGPT came up with US, Japan, Brazil, and Germany. And because I'm from India, they hadn't even included India, but I also asked them to include India. So I'm going to read these out. In the US, visibility is often encouraged. You're expected to advocate for yourself, share your wins, and speak up. But if you're coming from a culture where modesty or collectivism is the norm, this might feel unnatural or even uncomfortable. And this was pretty hard for me in the beginning because I'll explain why. I'll read about India, and then I'll explain why when I first moved to the US, it was hard for me to sure, but once I learned how to do it, and I realized, wow, when I do this, I'm able to do so many more things, so many more opportunities are opening up to me. Maybe I could have also tried it in India, because in India I was really under the radar. And one of the I did work in India, and one of the companies I worked at, when I started showing up, I was the only woman in this team, and it really the men didn't like it, and they were trying everything in their power to get me removed from the project that they were doing. They wanted to take the lead and the control, because I was sharing my voice, sharing my expertise. It was really interesting. I've not experienced that in the US, but then again, haven't worked in the corporate world in the US, so I really don't know. But maybe other people have, and they could share it. But in India, showing up can be bold and hierarchical, that's for sure. That company I mentioned that I worked at, it was very hierarchical. The interesting thing was the males. I was a manager, and so were the men in that company, in this team. They all could call our boss, our supervisor, by his first name, but he would not let me call him by his first name. It was very patriarchal. He was there's a lot of misogyny, and he wanted to be addressed as Mr. So and so. So, but in India, there's a lot of emphasis on education, titles, and social standing. Maybe it's changed now, but it was like that when I was in the US. Like, there's a lot of respect for people in authority, seniors. You have to say sir and ma'am in many of the cases. There's also deference to age, which I think is great, because maybe it's changed now, but in India, when I was living there, people respected you if you were older. The older people had more experience, and you would look up to them. Now you have really young people running companies here, and people who are in their 40s, 50s, sometimes even 60s will not get hired, or they get laid off because they're considered old, right? And for women, showing up might come with added layers, navigating expectations around being humble, respectability, and balancing multiple roles. And I remember that, like, and I still seem to revert to that when I go back to India. Women, and maybe it's changed, maybe I'm just stuck in that the old way of thinking, where I want to appear as very humble, I want to appear respectable, I want to appear as a good Indian girl or woman. And in the US, I noticed that was different. And thankfully, even though I had been discriminated against because of my accent and judged, once I realized that I can share my voice, and I didn't share my voice everywhere, but where I did, and I did face a little pushback in one of the organizations I worked at, because against a woman who was working there, this time it wasn't a man or woman, she felt very threatened by me. Again, I think she thought, who is this foreigner coming in here and telling us what to do? So I did face some pushback there, but it didn't stop me. And I think that's why I started my own business, because maybe I realized I wanted to do things my way without treading on people's feet, but I didn't want people stopping me. I wanted to reach for the stars, and I knew I wanted to grow and build this community of high achieving, purpose driven women living abroad. And I needed to create my own organization, and then empower and inspire other women to also break boundaries, break glass ceilings. So anyway, so that was the difference between India and the US. Okay. you advocate for yourself in the US, you share your wins, you speak up, and let me know if you're watching this in the comments, in the chat, or if you're going to watch it later, what it's like, what the cultural norms are like in the country you live in or the country you are planning, you are originally from. I'd love to know, is there, what does what does showing up look like over there? Like in the US, you want to advocate for yourself because then you get noticed, whether it's asking for a promotion, it's asking for a job, it's asking for funding, even this YouTube live, I shared it on social media. I sent several emails to my network of 10,000 plus people, and I was cringing. It's really hard for me to promote myself. And first of all, I'm not comfortable being on camera, and I'm inviting people to come watch me live. I can't even bring them up on stage, but it's just me, so it's hard. But being in the US for almost 22 years, it's given me some confidence, and I see that is a way things work right now. And but on platforms like LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, so Facebook, it doesn't matter which country you're from. If your audience is global, you show up and you share your expertise in your own messy, authentic self. And it doesn't matter if you have something great to share, people will show up, people will listen to you. Maybe they may not engage in your content. For example, on LinkedIn, oh, here you are. Thanks, Bianca. Bianca, I don't know if you just joined me, but I had like in the beginning of today's live, I was so nervous. I just had one like a panic attack on my live, and I think because I am not wearing socks or shoes, and my feet were feeling really cold, and somehow it triggered like some kind of fear in me. Yeah, so if you go back and see the first part of the video, I'm like really nervous. Yeah, so it just happens, but then I just continued and started showing up. So yeah, and Bianca, maybe you can, I know you are, and you've shared that you're an introvert, and how showing up for you um, is different than maybe the regular person who is not, who I wouldn't say extrovert. There's so many different layers of being an introvert and an extrovert. Like I'm an extrovert at times, and then I'm an introvert at times, but being on camera is scary, and I'm doing this because I want to push myself. It's not that scary. It's gotten more comfortable. I've gotten more comfortable with it. Yeah. So anyway, so let's go back to, I'm talking about cultural norms right now, if you just joined us. So we're talking about, in the US, visibility is often encouraged, but if you come from a culture where it's not, then you have to really learn how to be visible. I remember, like at interviews, we were told, you don't say, in India, at least when I was applying for jobs, you would say, we did this, we did that. But in the US, it's always you. It's very individualistic, and we had to learn that. And I think, because a lot of the social, not a lot, I think all the social media companies were created in the US. That's why social media is very, like, I'd say, has a US, the frame of thinking is kind of very American. Because if you look at LinkedIn, you look at YouTube, you talk about yourself. Of course, we promote other people, we share their posts, we definitely want to spotlight other people, but social media is really about promoting yourself, and in some cases your business, your expertise. So the US way of thinking has kind of taken over the world. If you are online, if you're talking about visibility in the digital world, but then what about visibility in person? So for instance, in Japan, humility is valued over individual spotlight. Showing up might mean listening attentively, being consistent, and demonstrating expertise quietly over time, not making bold declarations or seeking attention. Okay, so that's in Japan. In Brazil, confidence and charisma are part of how people connect. That might be expressed through energy, relationships, and conversation than formal self promotion. This is all got from Chat GPT. So again, if you are from any of these countries, maybe you don't agree. And I think this is really talking about more within the community, within the workplace. In Germany, clarity, competence, and preparation are often prioritized over personal branding or emotional storytelling. Like in the US, it's all about personal branding, building your brand. I didn't even know the word existed till I till a few years ago. Like, oh, you should maybe I think I started building my personal brand during the pandemic. We are already building our personal brand. Your personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. When I was in India for a long time, I was considered diffident, which is not confident. She's one of those quiet people. She doesn't speak up. I changed over the years, but it's how you show up is what people is the opinion people form about you. You don't even have to start saying this is my personal brand. People just form those opinions about you, and you can change your how you show up over the years. Like I want to my personal brand right now is when I think about professionally, it's the founder, the expat woman, empowering high achieving women living abroad and also helping them navigate LinkedIn. That's what I want to show up at. So then you have to start talking about that. I also want to be known as someone who's very approachable and friendly and supportive and kind, and doesn't like drama and politics. When I talk about politics, I mean obviously there's the politics, the politicians and all that, but I'm also mean politics in sense of when you get in a group of people and this one's talking about this one to create some kind of issues. And that's why I think with the expat women membership that Bianca and Marlena are part of, we're just all very supportive. No one's trying to pull anyone down. People are really kind. People, even though everyone is really high achieving, ambitious, talented, there's no drama involved. There's no infighting. There's kindness and support and talent. And I think that's, when I'm coming back to the personal brand, that's what I want to be known for. That's what the kind of person I want to be known for. When someone's very toxic or mean or not inclusive, I can't be friends with them. I don't want to be part of whatever group they have. So yeah, so that's what we were talking about in terms of personal brand. I spoke about the polls. So I want to share. And does anyone have anything to add before I continue? Let me look at the chat. Oh, here's Julie as well. Yeah, Julie says she tries to plant a friendly face in the audience if I can to help me. Yeah, it does help, Julie. But you didn't see me earlier. I just froze. I got so nervous, and that hasn't happened in a long time. So it's hard when you're on camera and everyone's watching you, even if no one's watching you, uh, you know. But I'm not even going to edit it out because I'm talking about showing up messy and not perfect and fighting fear on the face. I did have to punch fear on the face during that little bit in the beginning. That's why live events are a little bit harder. And that's why I'm pushing myself to do live events. But they're also easier because I don't have to record ahead of time, then edit it, and then upload it, and all that stuff. So, there's pros and cons for everything. And then Bianca said it's a struggle with anxiety at events. I have to remind myself I can do it. And I think that's what Julie means, I guess, Bianca, because you said yeah, having a friendly face definitely helps. And I think in person events can be scary. And I'm trying to go to only events where I know there'll be like minded women like me. And the other strategy I am doing to show up at these events is inviting other people who I know to join me, so I have someone I know even so it helps when I go to the event that I have company. I know sometimes it's hard. So another strategy is if you know who the organizers are of the event, maybe connect with them and say, I'm coming to the event, but I'm a little nervous. So I'd love to meet you at the event. And then if you can introduce me to a few people, that would be helpful. Anything to make showing up easier for you. And I know people who don't come to events because either they're scared because they don't know anyone, or they feel they don't have the right clothes, or they won't have time to get their hair done or their makeup. I think people see beyond that. They really want to know you. Who is behind this person? Is this someone I want to be friends with? Is this someone I want to connect with? Is this someone I want to partner with? Is this someone I want to do business with? uh, yeah. So, and Julie said for Germany, it comes across like rudeness at times. I guess you're talking about building your personal brand and being direct. Maybe you're talking about how we do things in the US. And Julie says the advantage of live is once it's over, it's over. With pre-recorded, you watch yourself over and over. Yeah, while editing. Yeah, it's so hard to watch. I agree with you, Julie. And I'm getting better at this. Like in the beginning, when I used to do recorded videos, I would cringe watching myself, listening to myself. Now it's gotten easier. But the reason also why I like to do lives is besides having to look at myself, is I want to make it as easy and sustainable as possible, because a complexity is definitely the enemy of showing up. When you make something really difficult and complex, and there's all these added layers and all the stuff you have to do, whether it's doing a video or creating content for social media or even hosting an event, you want to make it really simple, especially in the beginning, because otherwise it'll lead to you procrastinating. Yeah. So Julie says, I currently have a video in the editing queue and cannot bring myself to post it. Julie, just do it. Just, don't overthink it. Just put yourself out there. I don't know when you joined the live, but I was talking about when you don't share your expertise, your value with the world, you are doing a disservice to the people who can benefit from it, and the people, uh, and you yourself, if you're not going to put yourself out there. So just think about that. Tell yourself, I'm being selfish if I don't share this video. It's not about me, it's about the people who can benefit from it. And again, maybe no one will see it. Like every time I do a live, I'm not sure if anyone will even show up, but I'm just going to do it because I'm doing it for myself. And the thing with things like YouTube videos or LinkedIn content or blog posts, they live on forever. So maybe 1 year from now, someone might watch your video and and then watch it and benefit from it. People watch, and that YouTube is part of Google, so it's a search engine. So if you make your title SEO friendly, people will might find your video and then watch it. And like I'm when I switch the description, or when I edit the description of this video, I'm going to say I did get very nervous showing up as my messy authentic self at the beginning of this live, but I pushed through it. So people who are feeling, have the similar feelings to me, will feel encouraged that they can show up. So Julie, your homework is to post that video, and if you want, share the link in the Expat Woman membership social media share hub, so we can all comment on it, and you'll feel comfortable with us watching it. I've seen you on video, and I think you're very a natural. You just, I don't even, I wouldn't even know that you were nervous about showing up on video. You just seem so comfortable and confident and passionate about it. All right, Julie says yes. Awesome. Okay, so let's continue to going up. Yeah. So here are some tips for you to overcome, perfectionism and show up as your authentic self as an expat navigating life, work, and visibility abroad. So start before you're ready. Again, I'm not ready really for YouTube. There's so much I still have to learn. Even live streams, right? I'm going live stream directly on YouTube. I can use a streaming platform, but for now, I just want to make it simple. So I'm just doing it and learning as I go. So you don't have to do something big like YouTube. You could do something small. Pick one small action like uh, you know, posting content, introducing yourself at an event, speaking up in a meeting. Do it even if your voice shakes. Punch that fear in the face. Just, turn off those little voices, or lean into the voices in your head that say, who are you to show up? You don't belong here. You're making a fool of yourself. People are going to laugh at you. Just don't pay attention to that. And the next is a mindset shift, which again is similar to what I said earlier, but you want to shift from perfect to progress. Ask yourself, did I move forward today? Okay, was it flawless? It didn't have to be flawless. Every step counts. Your messy today becomes your confidence tomorrow. And I can speak from experience. I've hosted over 400 in person events, I think, at this point. I've been hosting them in San Francisco mainly since 2013. Before the pandemic, I was hosting an event every week, and they were panelists, really high powered, very successful expat women in San Francisco Bay Area working at like big tech companies or founders who have raised a lot of money, or investors. I would just maybe briefly introduce myself at the event, and then I would go and sit at the back with my laptop. I'd have an MC, I would have a moderator. I just felt like, I either, I just felt didn't feel confident enough to moderate those panels or even speak for too long. The pandemic pushed me to show up virtually, because when you show up virtually, you can't really hide behind anyone, and there was nothing else to do. So that gave me the confidence. And now I moderate my own panels, I speak at my own events. The events are much smaller, but I enjoy them so much because I know what I want to ask my panelists. I want to engage with them. I barely engage with my panelists before, besides maybe sending some emails, because I wasn't moderating the panels, and because that I wasn't really invested in my events. Now I love learning from my panelists and also adding my expertise. So I'm showing up. People are also getting to know me. My speakers and panelists are getting to know me. My guests are getting to know me. And the nervousness has definitely abated. I'm getting more comfortable. So, you know I'm not perfect, but I see small steps, and I was gradually moderating those events. It wasn't every week. Was The events were once a month or every other month, and I got more comfortable. So just think about it. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be present. Okay, give yourself permission to be messy and move on. Say it's fine. And those people who want perfection, who want like these very polished speakers or moderators, or even at an event, they're not your audience. You want people who want to see you as you are, right? Who enjoy what you have to say, who can connect with you because you seem human, you seem authentic. Okay, practice in private first. So I'm not a big, like, I do for my live stream videos or my moderation of the panel. I do create a little bit of a script or a write up or pointers. In this case, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I do put have notes that I refer to. Like right now I'm referring to my notes because I haven't got to the point where I can just speak extempore. I could, and maybe if someone interviewed me, I could. But when you're running the show, when you're doing a solo YouTube, you don't, and I have this, my brain freezes. So I notice it's helpful to have what I want to say in front of me. So even if you're going for an in-person event, decide, who do I want to meet with? How am I going to introduce myself? What are some questions I'm going to ask them? So then you go and kind of being prepared. But if too much practice scares you, just keep it to the minimum. I'm not one of those who likes to practice a lot. And I think when you practice too much, then it takes away from the authenticity and being natural. Uh, Speak to one person, not everyone. So if you're doing social media posts, you're hosting a webinar, a workshop, you're doing YouTube videos, or even if you're planning to go to an event, whatever you're doing to show up, keep that one person in mind. Who is your avatar? I know my avatar is these ladies who've joined me live, my members, my amazing supportive members of the Expat Women membership, Bianca, Malena, Julie. I know who they are. They're all women who, like me, want more, to create more impact, want to create more influence, want to show up, want to share their expertise, want to take their careers, business, uh, brand to the next level, want to elevate their income while creating impact and influence. I know who that audience is, and I keep them in mind when whatever I'm doing, when I'm hosting events, when I'm creating content on social media, LinkedIn, when I'm doing YouTube videos, when I'm creating workshops or webinars or master classes. I keep that audience in mind. But keep one person. You can even give her a name. Okay. So instead of worrying about how you sound or look to everyone, focus on that one person who needs to hear your message. Okay. So that takes the pressure off you. Reframe mistakes as growth moments. So every time you stumble, when you show up, that's fine. That shows you're learning, right? Like I said, the first time I did a YouTube live, I used a laptop. It was my and live didn't even live stream because it wasn't working on that laptop. And then I realized, let me switch laptops, and it's getting better with each time I'm doing it. Of course, today I had a bit of a setback. I got so nervous at the beginning of this live stream, but that's fine, right? That happens. You Even when you think you're getting more confidence, there'll be setbacks, and you can either kick yourself and just be so unhappy and say, I thought I was progressing, and now look, I thought I'm no longer nervous, and today I got really nervous, or my brain froze, or my video didn't look so good, or my content, no one commented or engaged in it. It's fine. Just keep at it, And I think people connect more with you when you really show up as your nervous, imperfect self. So learn from your mistakes. This is the Kaizen method that I really like. It's a Japanese philosophy that means continuous improvement. It's built on the idea that small, consistent changes over time lead to powerful transformation. And we're all here watching this live or in the Expat Women membership or part of my network because we want transformation, right? And so, whatever your goals are, our goals can change over time because this maybe this season this is what you're focused on, next season might be something else, but you want to take tiny consistent actions because if you go bold and bigger really fast, sometimes you can burn out or something can happen, and then or it can be too overwhelming. So you don't have to do it all at once, just do teeny little steps. If you're just getting ready to show up on social media, comment today, post tomorrow, maybe do a video at some point. Small moves build momentum. And this method is especially, so this is the Kaizen method, tiny steps, big shifts. And it's especially helpful for expat women or anyone navigating new cultures, career, or confidence issues abroad because it's removing the pressure to be perfect and you're focusing on tiny steps to reach your goal of showing up as your messy self. Okay. So, yeah, so that, as I said, you can comment on someone's post, record a 30-second video if you don't post, but maybe just show it. If you're nervous, show it to a few friends first, or put it in a private Facebook group or private YouTube channel. Maybe you want to, you don't like me going to events, maybe just focus on attending one in-person event a month or one virtual event. Start introducing yourself, start speaking up, send a DM to reconnect with someone you met abroad. These are just some examples. If you have any examples, share in the chat. And then find safe places to practice. That's why, I know Julie, Malena, Bianca, you've all been doing amazing with connecting with each other, supporting each other. Malena, I know, did the banner for Julie. She offered her services to help people with creating LinkedIn banners. Julie has been working with Bianca to, I know you're like collaborating for B2B marketing. You guys help Thais with by showing up for her webinar. Julie and Thais have been doing YouTube video collaborations. So I think finding that or person or group that can help you achieve these tiny steps is so important, and it definitely gives you confidence to show up. Okay, so let me know in the chat what is one thing you think you're going to do this week or this month or this year to show up and in your as your messy self, be authentic. What's something that's holding you back and you're going to do after watching this again? It can be something very small. And while you're writing that, I want to leave you with this quote: a ship in the harbor is safe, but ships weren't built to be in the harbor, right? It's by an American author called John Shedd. A ship in a harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. Okay, and that's why it's so important. All of us have already moved out of the harbor. When we moved to another country, we took that step to step out of the comfort zone and move abroad. Whether it was because of you wanted to do it or because of your partner, you still did it. But then very often we go back into the harbor when we're in that new country because we're afraid to show up. For me, it's been a journey. This showing up has been like 20, almost 23 years of building the confidence, and I wasn't even thinking of it. A lot of it happened by default, but I've been if you told me 20 almost 23 years ago, Naina, you'd be hosting lives on YouTube. Of course, YouTube didn't even exist then, but you'd be showing up on video, you'd be running your own business, you'd be hosting events, you'd be speaking at your events, you'd be connecting with all these amazing women all over the world. I couldn't predict my future. I hadn't even planned what I was going to do. And that's the beauty of the steps and believing in yourself even when you don't believe in yourself, and just pushing forward. So I'm just going to check in the chat what people are saying. Marlena said it's better to talk with a friend, with somebody, than with a polished yeah, for sure. There are a lot of people who are very fake, and that's what happens sometimes. And again, there are not every polished person is is inauthentic. There's some people are just very confident and classy, and again, and there's some people are really fake and you just don't feel comfortable with them. So, but I agree, having someone who's authentic is more important than having someone who's polished to be friends with. And then Bianca said, too much practice. Yes, I agree with that, Bianca. Bianca says, too much practice puts more pressure to be more perfect, and you are less satisfied the more you practice, and it's a vicious circle. Yeah, that's why I'm doing these YouTube live, because I'm just procrastinating when it comes to recording video. Like even my content for social media, for a while I had kind of chalked it out. This week I'm going to post on this, and this week I'm going to post on that. But now I just go with the flow. Now there are different types of people. I think type A is more organized, and they plan everything out. But I'm one of those with go with the flow. I'll post when I suddenly feel the urge to share something, and it just flows from me because I'm passionate. So I agree that, oh yeah, practicing for, if you're going to share a webinar, I mean, a little practice is good, because there have been times where I've not practiced at all and not had any idea what I'm going to say, and then it's not helpful. So I realized I need to have some kind of outline. But yeah, if you practice and practice and practice, it makes you more nervous, and then you might sound very like wooden and robotic too. Uh, so Julie's doing a webinar on me. That's wonderful, Julie. Wonderful. And you are teaching the masterclass next week, so that's a good stepping stone. I'm not sure if you've done any, if you've hosted like live workshops or webinars before. Yeah, and then Marlena says she's going to start by sending voice messages with the camera turned on to her sister. That's awesome. So you're practicing with your sister to get more comfortable sending video messages. I guess you're talking about LinkedIn, where you use you can send video messages. So if anyone has anything else to share, let me know in the comments, in the chat. Sorry, if you've watching this live or watching the recorded version, do hit the like button. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I never realized how slow it would be to grow the expat YouTube channel to 1,000 subscribers. As I said, across social media and the newsletter, there's 50,000 people. So you can see how, it can be so like discouraging that I have this huge network, and you would think I'd get to at least 1,000 out of the 50,000 people that are part of the community, and I could get discouraged and say, oh, forget it. I'm not going to do any, I'm not even going to focus on the YouTube channel, because barely anyone is subscribing, liking, watching. But that's part of the, you know, progress instead of perfection. If you want to achieve something, I truly believe that even if no one shows up or few people show up, you just want to just do it and keep doing it. I'm so excited about YouTube, and I never was excited about video before. I came to the US to study video, and but it was different kind of video. But today I'm really passionate and excited about this, so I'm going to keep forging on. My goal, of course, is to get monetize the YouTube channel, where you need to get 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours in 365 days, and that's why I'm also doing these lives. But I'm also doing it to build the confidence to show up, get more clarity on what I want to talk about, because the more you do something on a specific topic, the clearer you get on what is working, what's not, what to say, how to say it, how to show up. So there's so much involved. Yeah, and Bianca says quality over quantity. Great followers will come with time. I so agree. Whether it's on LinkedIn, getting followers and connections, getting people to engage in your post, whether it's YouTube channel, whether in my case the expat woman membership, it's just about showing up, doing what you believe in, being open to pivot, because that's also part of the progress. Maybe something doesn't work, so you try something else. Like I was doing um, live streams with interviews with people for a long time, but they were not doing so well. And it was a lot of stress for me, because when you involve someone else and the tech doesn't work, and then you have to make sure they show up on time and all that, it was like, this is too stressful. So I'm just going to do it alone. So also, eliminating things that cause stress and may not, and that are not really helping you with your showing up, as even if it's your messy self, it's all fine. So to recap, step out of your comfort zone and do things small. If you're really scared, just Believe in what you're doing. Don't worry about what people will say. Don't worry about making mistakes, about failing. Just do it. And just focus on who you're talking to. Who's that one person you're talking to? So instead of worrying about how you look, how you sound, if you're not, you feel you're not confident enough, just think about that one person who'll benefit from what you have to share. Follow the Kaizen method. Just one, focusing on small steps, 1%, getting better 1% at a time. The more you do it, the more you learn, and the more confident you'll get, and also the more opportunities that will come your way because you're showing up. And finally, it's find that support group, find people who you can collaborate with. I'm talking with Julie, because Julie, when the first time I met Julie online, she wanted to do YouTube videos, and she said she was nervous. And then she found somebody else inside the Expat Women membership, Thais, and now they're just helping each other show up confidently on YouTube. And that's what you need to do. There is someone somewhere that could be uh, your partner, your accountability partner, your cheerleader. So just, if you're nervous to show up alone, find someone. Like all of you showing up and commenting in the chat helps me with, because if it's harder when I'm just by myself. And I just shared this YouTube with all of you, and you guys showed up, and it just makes me feel so much more involved and engaged, because at least I'm reading your comments, I'm not just speaking. So I just want to thank everyone who's come, showed up live, and people are watching the replay. And hopefully the chat will stay, but you can continue in the comments if there's something you want to add. If there's something, I'm also open to people sharing what support they need, not in the chat but in the comments. Like Julie, don't be shy to share a link to your YouTube channel. Yeah, because again, the people watching these videos are other expats, other women living abroad, and I think this video will attract people who are wanting to show up as imperfect self. So Julie says a masterclass is a gateway drug. Yeah. So Julie is hosting a masterclass next week for my members, and I'm really looking forward to that. But that's a step forward, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I like Julie's strategy too. Sometimes, if you're not yet ready to share your content, you can always use somebody else's content and share theirs. Like Julie is going to be diving deep into a book. I think it's Alex Homonzi. Maybe I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but she's read his book, and now she's sharing all the tips and strategies she's got from his book. And she told me she's tying it up. I mean, she's going to make it relevant to all the stuff she has done. So she's not just sharing his content, but also making it relevant by sharing how it has helped her. So that's something you can do if you're not comfortable talking about yourself, your expertise yet. You can find something. You could find a video to talk about. You could find a book to talk about. Where you And this can also be like in a social media post. You could find content that somebody else has shared and then share your insights and tips. And of course, we always have our friend ChatGPT to help us. Just make sure you personalize it, you make it sound authentic, because ChatGPT is actually really like a perfect polished person. And anyone who's just shares content from ChatGPT by just copying and pasting and not adding their personal twist, it doesn't sound messy and authentic enough. So ChatGPT sounds really robotic, and you're not going to really attract people. So you use ChatGPT to give you ideas and suggestions, but definitely then use that to use your own voice and share your own voice. All right. Thank you all so much for joining. Please do leave anything you want in the comments, so it'll help this video get seen more. As I said, I'm happy if you share something that you're going to do in the next week, month, and share links to that if you like. I'm happy to use this video as a platform for you to promote your whatever you are doing, because that's the whole goal for this video, showing up as your messy self. All right. Thank you all. Have a wonderful rest of the day.